Hello, and welcome to another amateur's guide to everything that we kind of maybe know or don't know or are great at, but not really. so, today we're going to be looking at the hunter, uh, not the demon hunter, just the normal hunter. And as it logs in here, please forgive my transmog. I thought it was hilarious to kill people while looking as fabulous as I do. I also got the pets to match and amount to match, and I was correct. It was absolutely hilarious. I was doing battlegrounds and murdering people with this. I'm just waiting for the game to fully load so you can see the pets that I have with. Oh, there we go. There are my pets. Yeah, people were really angry. They kept targeting me for some reason. But being a Beast Mastery Hunter, I could deal with them pretty easily. Beast Mastery Hunters, for the longest time in BFA, have been, yes, and that's the mount, have been doing very, very well in BFA, as I mentioned. Um, they've always been fairly strong over the years. Uh, I don't think there's any time where they were, bottom of the barrel. They may have been last place in the hunter specs, but they've never been bottom as far as DPS is concerned. And they only get stronger as time goes on. So, for the third time, yes, in BFA they are very, very strong, even after the pre-patch. So, I've already created weakauras. I've already set up all my talents and abilities. I'm just going to go over them briefly so that you have an understanding of how they work and what's going on when we do a run later on. So first and foremost, um, this is the spec that I'm using this camouflage for PvP. Uh, Natural mending. This is the spec that's recommended through Icy Veins. Um, and now that I've been using it, I can verify that it is a wonderful, wonderful spec. The only changes that I might make is in Nyalotha, there is a fight called Hive Mind where there are two bosses. And on that fight, I switched to Chimera Shot. That way I could hit both bosses. I could cleave, basically. Um, because anybody who can cleave on that fight just absolutely destroys the meters. Not only that, but it also helps your guild because you're taking down the bosses faster. So that's the only time I've changed talents. Other than that, I keep everything. This is a very good spec for single target. It's alright for AoE. You could make some changes. You could go with Chimera Shot. You could switch to Stampede or even Barrage. Um, Barrage is not that much stronger than Stomp, and it's horrible for single target. Stampede is amazing for AoE, but it's a burst AoE. You can only use it, as it says, every 2 minutes. So if you're only doing big AoE pulls every 2 minutes, then it's amazing. But as I said, then you also suffer when it comes to single target. So I'm not going to go over all the talents here. I'm not going to go over what they say. If you want, like I said, you can go to Icy Veins. You can look them up. You can see what they all say. It's very easy, but this is what's recommended, and I can verify it works very well. Also, using Animal Companion makes it so that you have two pets, which is what we used to have in Legion. It was very nice. Um, I will say the only problem is the way Animal Companion works is it summons. Yes, it summons the first pet from your stables. So what I see a lot is hunters running around with two different kinds of pets because the pet that your main pet that you have out is one of the ones that you have equipped. And then the animal companion will summon the first one from your stables. So there is no more. In Legion, you could duplicate your pet's look because you had, as a Beast Mastery Hunter, you had Haiti, which is this wolf. I don't think I have. Yeah, I don't have Haiti currently. But you had this wolf that was always there, plus your actual pet, and you could use an ability, an item, to make Haiti look like your main pet, so that you would have two pets that looked identical, which symmetry is always nice. That is not the case any longer. You cannot make one pet look like the other. So, the fact that I have two pets that look identical is not because of an item or a special ability. It's because I literally just tamed two of them. I put one in the first slot in my stables, and I have one as my main pet uh, on me. That way, when I summon my main pet, the first one from my stables matches it. Um, just like I have two core hounds here. They're identical, and if I run them, I put one in the first slot in the stables, and I have the other one on me. So I have two big old core hounds. Uh, and then I usually ride the core hound mount, which is which is fun. So that's for matching transmogs and stuff. And like you'll realize over the course of these videos that I like to look good. This is not looking good. Don't shut up. this is just silliness because I found it funny to kill people looking like this. Anyways, so I have all my abilities on my bar except for rocket jump. Racial. We got a few abilities back. Which was nice, but as I've said in other videos, the bad part about it was I started running out of button space, so I've had to move things around and do the best I can. But so far, it's all now currently working. So the rotation for Beast Mastery Hunters, you basically have three main abilities. Outside of cooldowns, specialized abilities. You have three main abilities. You have Barb Shot. Hold on a second. I apologize. Bit of a scratchy throat there. You have Barb Shot, which does damage, puts a bleed. But the most important part about it is that it sends your pet into a frenzy, increasing attack speed by 30% for 8 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. The issue with this is if you stack it up to all 3 stacks, that's a lot of attack speed for your pets, and your pets are your main source of damage, by far. So you want to keep that attack speed going as much as possible. You do not want to let it fall off. That means you have to keep casting barb shots. Now you don't want to cast it on cooldown though, because of this ability. Wild Call has a 20% increased chance. Well, you have Wild Call in general. Here, we'll take a look at it. So Wild Call. Your auto shot critical strikes have a 40% chance to reset the cooldown of Barb Shot. It's usually 20. Because of my talent, it's 40 for me. Because of that, if you just spam Barb Shot, you'll end up casting Barb Shot when you absolutely don't need to. You'll have all 3 stacks of your Frenzy, and it is nowhere near coming off cooldown, and you don't need another stack, and still, because of this, Barb Shot's proccing, and you're just firing off random Barb Shots when you could be doing something else very important. So, one of the most complex things on the Beast Mastery Hunter is to maintain your Frenzy stacks. That's about the only thing that you really have to track and time and make sure that you get that correct, that you're keeping 3 stacks up, but you're not overriding too soon. If you go on Icy Veins, they've got tons of write-ups and stuff that talk about, fire a Barb Shot at this time, but not at this time, and do this, and if a train leaves Cincinnati at, 9 p.m., and so on and so forth. I've simplified it, and I'll show you how in a little bit. Your other ability is Cobra Shot. It is just a focus spender. It reduces the cooldown of Kill Command, which is nice, but it's basically just a focus dump. That's all it is. It does okay damage, but it's just so you don't want to cap your focus. You don't want to be at 120 focus and not spending it. You always want to be spending your focus. Not so much that you have none, but you never want to cap. So that's all this is. If you're getting close to capping, if you have too much focus, you can just pop off Cobra shots. They're instant, there's no cooldown, you can just drop focus. Your third main ability is Kill Command. This is where a lot of your damage comes from, because like I said, your pets. Give the command to kill, causing your pet to savagely deal 1074 physical damage to the enemy. 6.3 second cooldown. That's affected by stats and whatnot. And also, like I said, as you cast Cobra shots, it reduces the cooldown by 1 second. So this actually ends up being more of like a 3-second cooldown, because you're getting about three to four Cobra shots between each one. So those three abilities are your main abilities. You want to keep Barb Shot casting at specific times so you can keep up the frenzy stacks. You want to dump focus using Cobra Shot, and you want to cast Kill Command on cooldown. That one you can spam. You just, every time it's up, use Kill Command. The only caveat to that is if you need to cast a Barb Shot to keep your frenzy stacks up. That's actually more important than casting Kill Command. Your two big cooldowns are Bestial Wrath and Aspect of the Wild. Both are a 1.5-minute cooldown. Although, Bestial Wrath, if you see there, Bestial Wrath's remaining cooldown is reduced by 12 seconds each time you use Barb Shot, which you're going to be using it to keep up your frenzy stacks. So this is not actually a 1.5-minute cooldown. It ends up being like a 20-second cooldown. So it's not so much a big DPS cooldown now, you know, where you pop it with your potions and everything. You're still going to at the beginning of the fight, but throughout the fight, it's just going to constantly be up. So it actually becomes just part of your rotation. Because like I said, it ends up being almost like a 20-second cooldown. Aspect of the Wild does not. It's still a 1.5-minute cooldown. That being said, one of the best essences for Beast Mastery Hunters, the major one, is Vision of Perfection, which your spells and abilities have a chance to activate Aspect of the Wild for only 35% of its base duration. But still, because Vision of Perfection is going to proc that constantly, and a 1.5 minutes is not that long of a cooldown, you're actually going to have Aspect of the Wild up pretty regularly. And because of that fact, one of the best traits for your Azurite gear is Primal Instincts, which is Aspect of the Wild increases your mastery by 196 and grants you a charge of Barb Shot. Granting you a charge of Barb Shot, and then I have two. I have two Primal Instincts, so it gives me two charges of Barb Shot. Because of that, they recommend, if you're going to pop Aspect of the Wild, if the cooldown's up and you are going to press the button, spend all your Barb Shots. Spend all of them. Whether you need the frenzy stacks or not, just spend them all and then pop Aspect of the Wild, because it's going to give you your charges back anyways. I'm not very good at this. I usually just pop Aspect of the Wild when it comes off cooldown, when I need it. I sometimes might save it, if I know a boss is coming up soon and I want to make sure that I have it available. But I never spend all my Barb Shots. I'm busy doing other things and watching all the spell effects and things happen. But that's how it's supposed to work. So those are your three main abilities and your two DPS cooldowns, which are actually up fairly often. One of the great things about hunters in general is our utility. Our utility is through the roof. We can do so many things. We have a trap, which you can just throw at something and it traps it. It's a great CC. In the past, this was used pre-fight, especially in dungeons when you're going to do a big pull or whatnot, because tanks in the far past couldn't take a lot of stuff. They couldn't do very good AoE threat and whatnot. So if you had a bunch of mobs, Hunter would trap one, the Rogue would sap one. You'd see multiple mobs and then just pull one at a time and whatnot. That's not the case anymore. Now, tanks and DPS, we just pull everything. We DPS everything at the same time. We do massive AoE. That's all we do. So what this has actually become very useful for now is if there's a mob that's, you're sitting here and you're DPSing something over here, and there's a mob for some reason aggroed on you, you can just throw a trap at it and just keep DPSing, and it'll stop it, and you can not worry about it anymore. You can also use it if there's sometimes like there's a cluster of mobs here, and you're all DPSing it, the tank's doing everything, and there's some random caster mob sitting over here, just casting away. You've already used your interrupt, and it's just free casting, and it's causing some problems. We're going to wait for our cooldown for a second. And you're doing whatever. If you see that, just throw a trap at it real quick. Boom. Traps it, and you can keep doing what you're doing, and that'll take care of that. And then once you take care of that cluster, the tank can look over and be like, oh, hey, look, this mob's over here. You can go over and kill it real quick. So that's a couple uses for freezing trap. Do what you want with it. There's other uses, I'm sure, especially in PvP and whatnot, but we're not going to get into that. But it's a very, very nice CC. It's damn near instant, and it's at ranged. So you can just pop it out real quick. Also, another trap you have is your tar trap, which is just a large slowing pool. If there's going to be, like, if there's a big old cluster of mobs up here and they're going to come down the stairs to fight your group of guys down here, and you know that, you can just throw this right in the center. So you know they're going to have to walk through it and they're going to be slowed. Again, it's instant. It takes, one global cooldown for you to just toss it out. Also, if you're doing higher mythics and your tank is, tanking a lot of mobs, trying to stay away from them but kite them and whatnot, you can throw that down and help them out. It'll just slow everything down. Let's see, I don't know if this will proc it if I throw it right at this thing. Yes. So you see, hold on a second. No. I don't have passive on these guys. Get back here. So you see it's just a large slowing pool. Used for a lot of good things. And unlike the ice trap, it can't be broken because it's not a hard CC. So just a slow. So those are two utility traps that you have. You also have, as a Beastmastery Hunter, you have Intimidation, which just is exactly what it says. Command your pet to intimidate the target, stunning it for 5 seconds. So it's a 5-second stun on a 1-minute cooldown. The only issue with this is your pet has to do it. So your pet has to be there. So you can't, if you're fighting this mob and this mob over here needs to be stunned, you can't just click over and be like, stun that guy real quick, because your pets will have to go over there, and then you can cast the ability, and then they'll stun it. It's a little annoying. That's why I really recommend using the traps. Much easier. But if your current target that you're fighting, if it's going to cast a spell and you don't have an interrupt or something's wrong, you can use Intimidation and stun for 5 seconds. It's a 1-minute cooldown, but it's still utility. You also have your Aspect of the Turtle. Deflects all attacks and reduces all damage you take by 30% for 8 seconds, but you cannot attack. This is an amazing spell. I actually think it's a little overpowered. The fact that it reduces all damage you take by 30% is because it will not get rid of anything that's already on you. So if you already have a bunch of dots or something from a raid boss or even from PvP or something, if you have a bunch of stuff on you, it's not going to get rid of those things, and it's not going to protect you from those. So when you pop it, it's going to reduce all the damage you're taking from those by 30%, which is nice. But honestly, the way you really want to use it is as a preemptive measure. You don't want to take those dots. If you see a boss is about to do some big ability that's going to hit you or put a dot on you, or something is about to smash you in the face, pop Aspect beforehand. And the fact that it deflects all attacks doesn't make a ton of sense in the way that it works, because it literally deflects all attacks. It doesn't matter what they are, if they're melee, if they're spell, if they're AoE, if they're God knows what. For some reason, it just makes you immune. It's basically a pally bubble. That's what it is. It's a complete pally bubble, except that it doesn't remove existing effects. Perfect example of this, we were doing Heroic Raw Den the other night. I don't know if you've done that fight, but there is a moment where there are large black pools on the ground that have to be soaked by one player. After you soak that damage, after you soak that pool, it's a little bit of damage. Not much, but the main thing is that pool put a debuff on you. That debuff prevents you from soaking another pool for 30 seconds. If you try to soak a secondary pool, you basically die. That it'll basically kill you, unless you're super tanky. But because I'm a hunter and I have aspect of the turtle, I can soak 2 pools back to back, and that's what I was doing. I would take 1 pool, I'd get the debuff, and right before the second pool hit me, I'd just pop aspect of the turtle and soak an entire second pool without taking a single point of damage. Again, the utility is amazing. Um, they also have this is new since the pre-patch. They gave it back to us. They gave us Tranquilizing Shot. Removes 1 enrage, 1 magic effect from an enemy target. 10-second cooldown, which is pretty low. Very nice. I just created a weak aura so that anytime the target that I'm on has one of those effects, I get a little. I'll show you. I get this little teal background on their plate. So I know there's something I can remove. So I'll hit Tranquilizing Shot and just remove it. I'm never sure what it is. I don't check, but it's really nice. It removes enrages, removes spell effects. It comes in very handy. So it's nice having that back. We also have Concussive Shot. Dazes the target, slow movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. Cobra Shot will increase the duration of Concussive Shot on the target by 3 seconds. So basically, you can Concussive Shot, and as long as you're doing your standard rotation, it just stays on them. So you can slow. Sorry, excuse me. You can slow a target by 50% and just keep them slowed. This is mostly handy in PvP because it's only single target, whereas your AoE tar trap will slow everything. So if you're doing dungeons and stuff like that, there's a bunch of mobs, you want to use your tar trap. But Concussive Shot will work on 1 target. So you can slow that big bad or that player in PvP. Really handy. We also have Misdirection. Misdirects all threat you cause to the targeted party or raid member beginning with your next attack within 30 seconds and lasts for 8 seconds. We really don't have threat issues these days. Tanks are pretty quick. They can usually pick up threat in about half a second. And then DPS can start just going to town. What this more enables these days is for you to preemptively attack. You don't have to wait for the tank to charge in. Even though you only have to wait, like I said, about half a second. The tank charges in, hits it, and you can usually go after that. You actually don't have to do that. You can actually start DPS about a second or 2 before everybody, because you can pop Misdirect on the tank and just start going to town, and all that immediate threat just goes right to the tank. It's also fun to mess with your friends and redirect and misdirect mobs to them so that they die, because it's funny. We also have Exhilaration. Heals you for 30% and your pet for 100% of maximum health. It's a 2-minute cooldown. It's a really, really good heal. Really helps you survive in raids and dungeons and whatnot, but it's a 2-minute cooldown, which is a little annoying, which is why we take Natural Mending. Every 30 focus you spend reduces the remaining cooldown of Exhilaration by 1 second. Doesn't seem like a lot, but the more you cast, obviously, you're spending all this focus, and the cooldown actually really does. It is very noticeable. Usually ends up being like a 1-minute cooldown. I really love Camouflage. I actually prefer Camouflage in most circumstances, especially PvP, but even PvE. But if I'm raiding, I will take Natural Mending because I know it's going to give me the most benefit. It's going to help my raid the most by making it so the healers don't have to heal me as often. I can pop my own heal and take care of myself. Whereas Camouflage won't do that because you have to be out of combat. And then, of course, they also have Scare Beasts. They have Eyes of the Beast. They have some other side spells and whatnot that they can do that aren't directly group related for utility. Like I said, Flare will show any stealth units. There are a couple in some of the dungeons and whatnot, but not many, and not really in the raids and stuff. There's a couple here and there, but For the most part, it's more of a PvP orientated spell to find rogues and druids and whatnot, or other hunters using camo, which I've done. And then one of their largest, most utility-based spell for yourself, or personal utility, is Feign Death. Feign Death, tricking enemies into ignoring you, lasts up to 6 minutes. I have Azurite trait, which reduces it by 5 seconds, the cooldown. It's usually 30, mine's 25. Regardless, even at 30, it's still a very low cooldown, and it's an amazing, amazing talent. Because basically it drops all threat. So if you somehow do pull threat from one mob, two mob, a whole bunch of mobs, you got a bad tank, who knows what, you can just feign death. It immediately, everything's removed. For me, I have a macro for my feign death because your pets also have a feign death. It's called Play Dead. They're two separate abilities, but I've macroed them together because I found every time I feigned death and my pets were still going to town on something, that didn't help. So I have it linked so that when I feign death, my pets feign death. The only problem with this is to get out of feign death, all you have to do is do anything, including move. So if I move, immediately feign death is canceled, but not for my pets. There's been many times where I've been DPSing and I'm like, where are my pets? Why are they not doing anything? And it's because they're still feigning death. So I added a second line to the macro. If I hit the button again, it cancels their feign death. So it's a great macro. I will show it to you if you want to pause the screen and take a look at it. It's very simple. Very, very simple. Like I said, if you just hit the button again, it cancels their Play Dead. Just remember to actually do that. So basically, I've gotten the habit now, of I'll feign death and immediately press the button again. So I drop and stand up, and that just drops all threat. This is also good if your guild is not doing very good on a boss. They're doing horrible, and they're just like, wipe it, everybody dies so we can reset, and you watch all your party members die, and then you go, oh no, and you feign death and avoid actually dying. You avoid repair cost, the run back, all that. So you just lie there on the floor. The only problem with this, yeah, theirs is 30 seconds. Mine's 25. That's what just happened there. The only issue with this is usually there's a lot of raid-wide damage going out. So, everybody's dying and you feign death, and then you're still taking the AoE damage from the boss or ground effects or whatnot because everything's still going on. You're still there. And you die for real, laying on the ground looking like an idiot. So what I recommend a lot of times, if you're in that situation, if it's off cooldown, I will pop Aspect of the Turtle and then feign death. That way I'm completely immune to everything, and I'm feigning death, and I watch all my party members die. You also want to time things. So as people are dying and whatnot, and they're saying wipe it, don't just feign death immediately, because then you might be laying on the floor for 2 minutes while everybody's still slowly dying, and then you'll get hit by a ground effect or whatnot. Keep DPSing, keep running around, keep hitting your heals, doing whatever. Try to do as much as you can to be one of the very last, if not the last guy. And when the boss goes, alright, you're last, I'm coming to get... You just feign death, and the boss resets. And then you stand back up, and you wait for your guild to come back. It's very nice. I also have a PvP talent. Feign Death removes all harmful magical effects and reduces damage taken by 99% for a second and a half. The damage reduction is kind of cool, so when I stand up, I'm kind of immune to damage, basically, for a second and a half. But removing all harmful magical effects is amazing in PvP. The multiple Warlocks, Shadow Priest, Fire Mages, whatever. Unholy Death Knight. People dot you with stuff all the time in PvP, and even side note, one they're also big utility based spells. Disengage, leap backwards, clearing movement, impairing effects, and increase your movement speed by 50% for 4 seconds. The increase in movement speed comes from post haste. Usually it doesn't do that, but this is very nice if you're in something, you want to get out of something. Or even if you want to go somewhere. So if you're over here and you're DPSing this mob and something's gonna pop over here and they're like, we need you to DPS that, you can immediately face your back that way and run over there. It's a great movement ability. It also, as I was going to say, in PvP, will get you away from people. It'll get you out of range of melee. It'll get you out of range of some spellcasters, so on and so forth. And you have your own self-heal and all this stuff. But none of that matters if you have 50,000 dots on you and you're just rotting to death. So, get out, whatnot, and then you hit your Feign Death, and that PvP talent will remove all those dots. The other nice thing in PvP for Feign Death is that it removes their target. So if they're casting something at you and you Feign Death right in the middle of it, they can't cast anymore. They have to re-target you. That's also helpful if there's a large fight, a lot of things going on, and somebody targets you at random, in the mob of, people, and you Feign Death, and they're like, they don't have time to tab target or try to find you again. They just find it, pick another target, and you're free to DPS, in your own time. We also got Hunter's Mark back. This used to be an actual talent that you could spec into, and it increased the damage you did to whatever had the Hunter's Mark on it. I did not like that, because that meant you had to put a Hunter's Mark on every new target that you were going after. Otherwise, it was a DPS loss. They removed the DPS component, so now it's just flat out Hunter's Mark. It's just to mark things. I rarely use this in PvE, because people, for the most part, know what they're supposed to be attacking. They don't need this red arrow over things. They know what they're supposed to attack. So I usually don't even put it on. The main time I will use it, and this is because the part where it says apply Hunter's Mark to the target, causing the target to always be seen and tracked by the hunter. I will use this in PvP and put it on rogues, because it's hilarious when they try to vanish and wonder why you're still shooting them. Because they cannot get away from you. I think that about covers their abilities and what they can... Oh, we also got Kill Shot back, which is basically an execute. You attempt to finish off a wounded target, dealing 1,622 physical damage, only usable on enemies with less than 20% health. So obviously I've built a weak aura for that. That's it. It's exactly what it says. It's very simple. It's just an execute. It's nice. So when bosses and stuff get below 20% health, your DPS kind of goes up. But yeah, it's that simple. I think that's about it. We also have a interrupt, just like most classes, except ours is ranged and a bit of a longer cooldown. This is rocket jump. This is just for goblins. Yeah. So I'll run through the rotation real quick. You'll see my weak auras pop up. So basically, what I did with my weak auras, and if you ever have any questions about weak auras, feel free to ask. I don't mind posting these and sharing them. Like I said, I like to build my own. So I have multiple ones for barbed shot, and they have all sorts of rules. If you have 3 stacks, if you don't have 3 stacks, if the stacks are about to wear off, if this and that. I have multiple rules all typed in my weak auras for barb shot because of what I told you. You have to cast it at very specific times to keep up the buff, to let it fall off, but don't cast it too much, don't cast it too often, so on and so forth. So I have all these rules set in here so that this red ring, whenever this pops up, that means you need to cast barb shot then. That is the precise moment you need to cast it. For all these variety of reasons, that is the precise moment you need to cast it. Kill commands, weak aura, is simply every time it's off cooldown. Because like I said, you just want to do it. Although, I have also programmed it to not show up if I need to cast barb shot. Because like I said, barb shot is the most important thing. So if barb shot needs to be cast, this will not appear. So I don't get confused. Same with my Cobra Shot. My Cobra Shot is programmed at a certain focus threshold to pop up, just to let me know, hey, you've got a pretty good amount of focus, you might want to dump a few shots into Cobra Shot. That being said, it's on a focus range, so if I start getting low on focus, it won't show up because it doesn't want me to lose all my focus. And the third rule that it has is don't show up if I need to cast Barb Shot. So if at any time you see one of these other rings pop up at the same time as Barb Shot, that means that one is not very important. That just means I have an overabundance of Barb Shot. I can cast it then, but I don't have to. But if at any time I have to cast Barb Shot, the other rings will not appear, to let me know this one's very important. I also have one for Chimera Shot, if I ever spec into it. In the center of all that, I have one that tells me every time Bestial Wrath is off cooldown. I have one in the center that tells me when Aspect of the Wild is off cooldown. They also don't overlap each other. I have one that tells me when Kill Shot is available. I have one that tells me when to use Tranquilizing Shot. I showed you that one. Let's see, what else do I have? I have these ones down here. You can see these pop up at different health thresholds and do different things to let me know that my pet is a little damaged, a lot damaged. You need to heal your pet now or he's going to die. So those things will pop up and let me know. Because there's been times where my DPS starts suffering and I don't realize it, but my pet has died and I didn't even know. Yeah, I think that's all the weakauras. So, alright, so we'll just run through this real quick. Also, I macroed in /pet attack to my abilities so that my pets don't wait for any reason. If I cast my abilities at something, my pets immediately know they need to attack it and they will charge to it. That also helps if you're switching targets. So if I switch targets and start casting, my pets will immediately run over and switch targets. So, here we go. So, start out with Barb Shot. Bestial Wrath's up. Aspect's up. Oop, cast Barb Shot. Dumps Focus. Bite. Dumps Focus. Oop, Barb Shot. Bite. Dumps Focus. Dumps Focus. Oop, Barb Shot. Bite. Dumps Focus. Dumps Focus. You get the idea. It's very easy. You see right there, the bite appeared, but then it was like, oh no, never mind, you need to cast Barb Shot. Yep, see? Did it again. So it immediately went away and Barb Shot appeared. And you saw there, Barb Shot ring was up while the other rings were up. That just meant I had an abundance of Barb Shots and I could cast it, but it wasn't super important. So yeah. And nothing is castable. Everything you can do on the move, so you can just constantly just keep jumping around, doing whatever you need to do, avoid stuff, and you're constantly DPSing. That's one of the strengths of hunters, and specifically Beastmastery hunters, is that you're constantly DPSing. You never have to stop for any reason to avoid anything. So yeah, you're doing all this, and then, oh no, that mob over there. Trap that. Keep your rotation going. Oh, stuff's coming down the stairs. Slowing trap. I think there might be some stealth mobs coming up over there. You see what I mean? You've got all sorts of utility that you can cast while still doing your DPS rotation and maintaining, you know, very, very good DPS. Oop, gotta get out of that. And if you see here, this little red 3, that's my stacks of Frenzy. So if you see there, I never let it fall off. At least I try never to. And we're gonna switch that target. As soon as I start casting on it, my pets immediately switch. So your last ability that I'll go over is your AoE, which is very simple. It's multi-shot. Fires several missiles hitting up to 5 targets within 8 yards of your current target for 93 physical damage and triggering Beast Cleave. When you multi-shot, when you AoE, your pet's AoE. Simple as that. So AoE, your pet's AoE. AoE, your pet's AoE. AoE, your pet's AoE. Beastmastery Hunters are not the strongest AoE class. our AoE is adequate. It's not bad, but it's not great. It's just adequate. It's good enough. I do have a talent where if I hit 3 targets, I don't think I can hit all 3 of these. Yeah, they're not close enough together. If I hit 3 targets, it'll fire twice. That's kind of nice. That increases my AoE. But other than that, yeah, Beast Mastery Hunters aren't the best AoEers. So yeah, that's the Beast Mastery Hunter. I know I went over a lot, but they're actually a very simple class. They're very easy to use. If you set up the right weakauras, as you could see, the rotation is extremely simple. It's just anytime a certain ring pops up, I press a button. That's it. That's all I'm doing. Your pets, there are different classes of pets. You have Ferocity, Tenacity, and Cunning, um, which have their own different abilities linked to them. Ferocity is recommended if you're doing raiding because they have a bloodlust. Tenacity is the tank pet. It is recommended if you're going to solo content and you want your pet to tank for you. Cunning is usually more the PvP pet. Increases your speed and also gives you a movement freedom ability. I actually prefer the tank pets in PvP. I have enough to break out of stuff, and I usually don't get caught in things. And having the survival cooldown and increased health really benefits me in PvP. That being said, I have seen a lot of hunters who run cunning pets to use Master's Call, and they don't. Usually, it's marksmanship hunters. They don't even use their pet to DPS. Their pet is always on passive, following them around because the only thing they're using their pet for is Master's Call. Besides these 3 classes, a lot of pets also have their own specialized ability. I don't think these ones do. Oh, they do. Okay. So they've all got a pretty standard attack, whether it's bite or swipe or whatever it's called. It's usually pretty simple, and they're usually extremely close in DPS. There is no pet that's like, oh, this pet's higher DPS, this pet's lower DPS. They're all the same. They're all the same amount of DPS. And they have dash. They have all the abilities that every pet will have. But different classes, different species and whatnot, whether it's a dragon hawk or a lion or who knows what, a lot of them will have special abilities. So this one's special ability, Dragonhawk takes a defensive posture, increasing dodge chance by 30% for 20 seconds. So they're really good at dodging. They're a tank pet, a tank species, and that's their special ability. Only Dragonhawks have that. My core hounds have molten skin, I believe it's called, where they basically harden their skin with molten lava and whatnot. So if you're really into your pets and if you're really into the special abilities and whatnot, I recommend there's a website called Petopia. You can Google it, and that will tell you every single pet there is, whether it's tameable, where they are, what colors, variations, all sorts of stuff. Anything you ever wanted to know about hunter pets, Petopia. I don't think it's petopia.com. It might be. Anyways, Petopia. Google it. Also, pets have a taunt. Obviously they will taunt for you. They will tank for you. This is automatically turned off in dungeons and raids now, which is nice because you don't have to remember to do it for yourself. It used to not be auto, and it used to piss off a lot of tanks. Also, misdirection. I told you can redirect. You can also misdirect your pets. And I actually have a macro. You can see here, if I'm by myself and I press misdirection, misdirects to my pet. But if I have a focus target, which I always do when I'm in a group, and it's always the tank, it'll misdirect to my focus target, which is the tank. So that's very nice. Macros are a wonderful thing. So are weakauras. I recommend all of it. Make your life a lot easier. There's a lot of setup time, which I actually enjoy, but there's a lot of setup time setting up weakauras and macros and keybinds and all sorts of stuff. But once you have all that stuff set up, believe me, your life is much, much easier. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed. That was the Beast Mastery Hunter. We'll try to get a dungeon run in here next video. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.